doing? Thanks for having me.
Very good. Oh, our pleasure to have you. So I guess right off the top, what is the Chad Kelly update?
Well, we actually got him full go practice today. It was a light day. We didn't do much, but he was cleared, got his final X-ray, so he's cleared for full contact. And then now we just got to see, how it's gonna look, right? I thought if he does too much, it gets fatigued a little bit, so we're not quite there yet. But I would say maybe he dresses this week, but I'm thinking more next week.
Okay, so that's a good sign, obviously, Ryan. But it hasn't been a great beginning for you guys. When you go into a bye week with a 1-4 win-loss record, what is the point of emphasis for your team?
Yeah, so we went and did a bunch of self-scout over the week, kind of what we're good at, so, what we've really struggled at. So we've been pretty good in the green zone, but, first down production on offense isn't there. Too many second longs, and, and then that second medium range, we're not converting that well either. So, we got to find ways to stay on the field, obviously take care of the football offensively. Special teams, we might bring some guys in. We're looking at that. We got some guys that just, aren't very good at special teams. We need to have some guys that can do it. We're losing Jack and Bryan, we need some veteran leadership over there. So looking at that, but, defensively, we looked at, every time we scored on offense, 9 out of 10 times we've given up a score. So we're not playing complementary football. So, I preached on we got to get some turnovers. We got to take care of the football, main thing. But we got to clean up some of the penalties as well.
So, Ryan, obviously, there's no secret you guys had a lot of turnover throughout your roster, but most notably perhaps on defense. I mean, what's the grace period that fans should allow that there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be adjustments when you've got so many new guys on the defensive side of the ball, and what are you expecting in terms of improvement from the group going forward here?
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a time amount on it, right? I think, from week one, we got to be playing good football. We always want to play good football for our fans. Well, obviously we want to win football games, right? Very frustrating start to the season. Yeah, it's a work in progress, but at the same time, we got to find an identity on defense. Are we going to pressure more? Are we going to sit back and keep it all in front of us? How are we going to stop the run game? So we're looking at all those different things. We've had some injuries over there as well, but that's no excuse. We feel like we got enough pieces to win football games. So we got to find an identity. I think we're going to be more aggressive, maybe a little bit more nickel to cause some disruption in pass protections and getting free linebackers on the field. We have a good linebacker crew. And, offensively, we got to find ways to run the football efficiently, that second and short and on first down, right? So, averaging right around 2.8, I think, a carry, that's not getting it done. So, I don't care who's new, who's not. We got to be doing a better job.
So you were talking complimentary football before. That was really how you would describe the Argos the last couple of years. How difficult is it to sort of recapture that or build back into that?
Yeah, I just think we got to, find some ways to scheme it up, right? We don't have a tight end. We don't have a fullback, so we're pretty much a 5-receiver team. So we got to find ways to, get completions, ball in certain guys' hands. Is it a screen? Is it just a simple hitch? We got to find that identity offensively. And, that thing is in the past, we ran the ball really well, and that set up our play actions and our down-the-field throws. And so most of them have been dropped back to Coxie. We got to find ways to, be able to push the ball down the field in our play action game if we can run the football.
Ryan, you guys will be facing the Alouettes when you get back to action on Thursday. Alouettes started out really hot, but they've dropped a couple. What have you seen from that team, and what challenges do they pose into Week 7?
Yeah, I think their quarterback was lights out when he was playing. His athleticism, to be able to play off script, which what we're missing with Chad. Most of the good ones in this league can. So I thought he made plays happen even if they weren't there, right? McLeod, I don't think played off. I watched all the games. They didn't have the production that they had in the weeks prior. And defensively, they give you fits, right? They do a lot of different personnel groups, but a lot of the similar structures, but just enough different that you got to spend a lot of time on pass protections and those things. So, again, we got to find a way to run the ball on them. When we beat them, we've had good success running the football.
There's been a lot of quarterback injuries in this league, Ryan. I mean, you played the position yourself. What do you make of it?
Well, I just think it's a physical game, and quarterbacks also got to know how to protect themselves. I think we could say what we want about Bo, but he's pretty creative and not taking hits, and it might get him off the field from time to time. But he makes a business decision. I think some of these younger quarterbacks don't quite view it as that. They're trying to establish themselves, but there's times to be smart where you're not taking unnecessary hits. So. Yeah, I think, because kind of in the last few years, you've seen the injuries across the board, and, the league goes out of the way to try to protect the quarterback, so sometimes it's football and it happens.
That East, I think if I was talking to somebody in the preseason, we were wondering, where the weak spot would be. Not that at this point there is one, but Montreal 3-2, Hamilton 2-2, you and Ottawa 1-4. It has kind of a different look than you may have thought.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, Montreal at first was like, whoa, wow, we're not even going to be able to catch them if we get hot now, similar to last year. But, we're just taking it one game at a time. Like I've been saying, the guys 1-0, that's all we can focus on. Don't look at the standings so much. Understand we're 1-4. But we got to get hot here soon. We can't just be dropping games, and it ain't getting any easier, right? We got Montreal on the road, and then we got Winnipeg back-to-back, right? So if we can get through this stretch here with some good football and at least win 2 out of 3, I think we'll be in a good spot. If we win all 3, we're in a really good spot.
Hey, Ryan, there's an interesting conversation down in the States. Dan Patrick, a great broadcaster who's on TSN radio quite a bit, was asking Davante Adams about LeBron James, and Adams said that LeBron James, obviously a Hall of Fame basketball player, one of the all-time greats, would also be, if he so chose, one of the all-time great wide receivers or tight ends in football history if he chose football. And yet I heard Charles Barkley on Dan Patrick today saying that he played one game of football, also obviously a great basketball player in his day, and he decided football just wasn't for him because they were hitting out there. What do you make of this idea that great athletes on the basketball side could be football players, or is there kind of a football toughness that maybe some of them wouldn't have?
Well, I think when you look at basketball players, you look at the guys that have been tight ends in the league. Denver just drafted a guy as well, basketball player with not a lot of experience. They're big body guys, so they can fit in the tight end position. But you look at their basketball film, or they're grinders at that, right? And a lot of times they had good careers because they did the little things, diving for balls, loose balls, stuff like that. So they show them physicality, box out players, play defense. So when you see those guys, they're obviously not good enough to make it to the NBA. That's why they kind of look into football, right? So I think those are good examples with Antonio Gates. He was kind of like that. Now LeBron, with Barkley saying that, it was a different game when Barkley was that age, right?
Right.
LeBron could probably last in the NFL, in the CFL at this day and age because it's not as physical on receivers going over the middle.
I mean, you were a heck of an athlete in your day. How was your basketball game?
You know what? I could play point guard. I can distribute it. I was great at passing. I could throw full court passes and all that. But I was not very good at creating, and I couldn't jump shoot. I had to be, sitting and get my feet stationary, and I could make threes. But about junior high, I was like, yeah, let's stick to football and baseball.
Hey, one key piece to your team, Wynton McManus. He's been out since, week 2. What have you seen from him, and what's the expectation for his return?
Yeah, he's been itching to get back at it. We got on the field today, did individual. He felt good, feels confident he's going to be able to play this week. And then we'll limit him, throughout the week. And then the third practice, right, we got to go full go and see where he's at. So right now I'm feeling pretty good about him playing. And
obviously there's been a lot of talk about his impact not being there. What can he bring you, and what changes when he's back at full strength?
Well, just his leadership. I think he uplifts guys around him. They feel better when he's out there. We should still win when he's not out there. He's been a great leader on the sidelines and doing those things. But, it's just something about him. He's got an aura. Everybody feeds off of it. So, obviously, smart player, physical player, and then he always finds a way to make that play. Ball finds him, and we've been missing that.
And another positive, Andrew Chatfield Jr., he's been turning heads too, hasn't he?
He's a good player. We thought so going in. He proved that. So, we got to find ways to move him around as well. Not always line him outside on certain down and distances. Give him an opportunity maybe on the guard instead of going against the tackle. We're going to look at all those things this week, find ways to get better.
Bryan, thanks for your time. All the best.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Ryan Dinwiddie, head coach of the Argos, who are off until next weekend in Montreal.
Yeah, big moment for the Argos. I mean, 1-4 is one thing, but you don't want it to slide the wrong way much further, right?
Well, and then you got back-to-back with Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
a win in Montreal would be huge.
Yeah, and they're vulnerable. They've lost 2 in a row, so maybe they can get them in a weak spot here. And with Chad Kelly, back looking healthier, if not quite healthy yet, maybe things will be pointing in the right direction for the Boatmen.
Well, I mean, they've found a way to get by without him before, but I think it's time he comes back.
Probably, yeah. and back to form. They need him to be most outstanding player candidate, Chad Kelly, not just another guy, right?
Yeah. Just looking around at something that we may have missed earlier, and I think we've pretty well covered everything. I want to go back to that minority interest in a pro sports franchise, a booming business that it now is. I don't know that anybody could have predicted the equity money would go there.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You hear a lot of buzz about that, right? And the idea that private equity is kind of infiltrating pro sports because the valuations are so high. There's not many individuals that have the cash in hand to afford these teams. So, and if you do have